This week's message from Spirit is probably one of the most powerful thus far this year, 2021, the year of receiving. As many of you know, this past weekend I took a personal trip to two plantations in the antebellum period of the South. The Myrtles Plantation and Oak Alley Plantation. Without going into details, Oak Alley is my home away from home. It literally, I feel that I had a past life in some form, not necessarily there, but definitely in that environment, and it hit me hard. Slavery, we go to these places of history to be educated, to learn, and then we leave and we take none of it with us. It's to the point now where we have to have museums that represent and reflect our history. It is at the point now where so many of us are eager to remove parts of our history. And as I stood there at 1 o'clock in the morning on a 63-acre property, over 300 years old, it became incredibly clear to me that there are more slaves today than ever before. Slavery is owning a property, often applied to humans, and most of us hear this during the time of the great slave trade, and I don't mean great as in good. And we hear this often every single day in the news as white privilege and my ancestors, and so many of us have lost the message. This is not to take away from anyone and anyone's experience of slavery. It is only to broaden our ability to comprehend and see a bigger picture. As a species, we have not evolved at all. We have gained bigger things, more expensive opportunities, but the treatment of the human being has not changed. It has existed before any history has been documented. And slavery also has existed and exists today in many cultures. Slavery shows up today in the forms of serfdom, debt bondage, domestic servants being kept captive, certain adoption arrangements in which children are forced to work as slaves, children soldiers, human trafficking, and forced marriage. Accordingly, there are more slaves today than at any other time in history. It is estimated that there are 20 million to 36 million slaves worldwide. And this is information that was posted in 2016. Slavery, first and foremost, was an idea in the human brain before it evolved into taking humans as property. And at this point, it has nothing to do with humans other than the way that we are willing to think about each other. If we go into this week focusing on our very small and our very personal bubble, which is kind of like operating your own plantation, are we including those who help us? You know, a lot of us have people that run errands for us, people that watch kids for us, babysitters. You know, we're technically employees. This is why I don't do well in corporate America, because it is like slavery. And as much as we would love to look the other way, there is abuse that goes on every day. We are a species that is evolving. This is the year of receiving. And somehow, some way, we have to evolve and step into our higher awareness, the bigger picture. Not all plantations were bad. There are many, many, many that actually coexisted together. Typically, those aren't the ones that made history. When your master is external from you, you shall always be a slave to its fear. I'm going to say that again. When your master exists, is external, outside of you, you shall always be a slave to its fear. So when we look at who is it that we call master, what is it that we give our power to? What is it when we say, oh my God, let's fix that because I'm afraid this is going to happen? Whatever it is that we are afraid is going to happen is our master. And we will always be a slave to its fear, whatever that fear is. Do you even know what your fears are? Do you even stop to nurture yourself? Do you know how many slaves lived in fear and daydreamed and fantasized about escaping and living life where they could just be happy and they didn't always need fancy things? And here we are hundreds of years later, and technically slavery is still going on. We don't live in freedom. We don't live in freedom. Every thought, every decision is a slave to some fear. It undoes us. It causes stress. It causes anxiety. We have lost children because of it. We have lost family and friends. We have lost opportunity. And that's no different than what our ancestors went through many, many years ago. And I say ancestors because at this point, guys, my fellow human beings, this is not a white and black thing. Just implying that it is white and black denotes that there is separation. And however you want to define it, whether you are white or black or yellow or green, wanting to feel happy and live in freedom versus living in fear and giving our power away truly is a desire for all colors and all races. Unfortunately, fear has led this country, this society, this species since the beginning of time. And we have had many, many heroes that have come before us that have tried to share the bigger message. And here I am on December 6th, 2:15 Central Time PM, bringing that message forward. We live every breath pointing the finger, whether it's to the bank, then the bank issues, financial issues becomes that of our bosses, our businesses we work for. Then it goes into the government, it's their problem. And then we go into the world. The world is a shit show. The more that the year of receiving is unfolding and we're coming to an end on December 31st, we're hearing and seeing some very shocking things about people of power and people that at one point in time we trusted. And no matter what is going on the big screen, what's going on your internal screen? Who is the beautiful individual that is absorbing all of this? Who is the one sitting back and receiving all that is not being said? You've got to be there to catch yourself. You've got to be there to validate your own desires to align or do things in a certain way. People of power are not just people who are bullies. That isn't power at all. You, whoever is listening to this, one day you will be on the other side. And there will be no stories. There will be just truth, fact, and the source of all of those facts. And I don't necessarily just mean God. When we go to the other side, there will be some of these individuals that are there. And we will have nothing but truth. Nothing but truth. Why is it that as a species and our own biological ancestors can we not evolve into truth? The one thing that so many of our ancestors died for, truth. We don't fight for our truth. We fight to prevent their truth. Think of that. Don't affect my truth. Don't bring your falsehoods into my truth. But the entire time, instead of defending our truth, we forgot to live it. And so did they. That's only what our history consists of. And when you go to these historical locations, or even flip back into your own family album, you will see the eyes of people that have lived before us that had truths. And some of those truths were taken away. Some of those truths were obliterated. Some of those truths never came to light. But it never meant that they didn't have them. And then here you are, aware in body, with more access to truth and freedom than any one of us have ever had since the beginning of time. Which we still don't know when that documented moment was. But what I do know this week, as we are in the last month of this final year, it feels like a final year of a sort of transformation that's been going on. Like a chunk of history is breaking off December 31st. We are going into new territory, 2022, and Spirit is saying this is the year of war. And guys, we've come from nothing but. We are here to define what being this human means. We are here to explore living our life and aligning with our joy, our needs. So many of us have been taught to reply to our own needs by ignoring them, making excuses for them. That's a form of slavery. You know, slaves that have come before us, documented, individuals that died at the locations I was at this past weekend. They didn't get the choice. They didn't get the opportunity. I'm going to be the first white person to say it publicly. There have been others, but I am not proud of our ancestors. But it's not just in slavery. I'm not proud of my own ancestors. I'm not proud of your ancestors. Small minds, some of them lots of money and no internet, lots of time on their hands. You're dealing with the evolution of traditions, legends, stories. So much of what was shared this past weekend were stories, not documented. And we live our lives based every day on those stories. But what is your story that you're living? Are you a slave to history, or are you here to rewrite it? Any area that we stand in fear, even if fear expresses itself as despair and hopelessness. We are a slave to what it is that we are afraid of. That means our exhaustion, our inability to fix the world, our lost opportunities to fix ourselves. We're just a slave. And slave life is no life. And yet, historically, some of these communities of slaves were happier than any of the white man that entertained on the property. It breaks my heart, white folk, because by this point we should be like thinking galactically. We should be that smart, and we're not. We're not. We are not separate races. We are one race, lots of colors. That means when you hurt, I hurt. When I hurt, you hurt. I feel like apologizing for my ancestors, and I'm fine with that. Shame on them. But my God, here we are so many years later, and that mentality is still happening in our own families. Even the way that we are choosing to respond to social media. Like, that bitch is crazy. You don't know her. You don't know what type of slavery she is in. Start using your present moment for more than just judging and being aware of the chaos of fear. Start living your present moment because of the reality of your freedom. Take a breath in. Open your mouth. Exhale. This moment is new. It is about you, but your master is internal. Your truth is your master. Your love is your master. And your light. And when you could say, yes, sir, and I honor that, you will then feel like the wealthiest individual in the entire universe. Now multiply that by a neighborhood, or a county, or a city, or state, or a country. We will never evolve externally. It cannot happen. It is robotic. But we are the hybrids that came here at this point to evolve internally. If I'm going to be a slave to anything, it is going to be to love, to joy, to finding the peace in other people and seeing how I can make it more of a reality for them. Our goal should never be to block ourselves off from one another, but it should be, how can I make your peace more of a reality for you? How can I help you feel more free? We don't trust each other. We're afraid of everything. And fear will never liberate us. That was really good. That was really nice. I feel like I could do that for days. This trip really hit me hard. Souls and spirits shared things with me that it's one thing to watch it in a movie. It's another thing to feel it and see it as a personal experience shared with you, and not through reading, but through the mind's eye and the feelings. And when you hear a mommy say that she feels forgotten because someone ripped her baby away from her, and this is possibly 100, 200 years ago, how have we evolved? How have we evolved? Evolution is an inside experience. Please share this with others. I ask that you use your open mind, and I thank you for being here with me on my journey. If you would like to listen to the extended message and the oracle message for this message and the guided meditation, visit me at patreon.com/April Roane. I will see you at aprilroane.com, and I am honored to experience your truth in your light.